Hello students. In the Zoom class, we started chapter number 2 of political science, Federalism. And in that class, we have discussed about what is federalism, what makes India a federal country. Today, we will continue the same chapter with the topic, how is federalism practiced? See, it is clearly understood to you that federalism is a system of government under which the power is divided between a central authorities and its various constituent units. Now let us see how it is actually practiced. Just making up of rules and regulations are not enough until and unless we have the attribute, we have the acceptance to those rules and regulations, isn't it? Constitutional provisions are necessary for the success of federalism, but these are not sufficient. If the federal experiment has succeeded in India, it is not merely because of the clearly laid out constitutional provisions. The success not only depends on the laws, on the rules and regulations which has been laid down in the constitution. The real success of federalism in India can be attributed to the nature of democratic politics in our country. Students, democratic politics in our country. This ensured that the spirit of federalism, respect for diversity, and desire for living together became shared ideals in our country. See, we all agree to that India is a country with diverse languages, religions, cultures, etc. So our desire for living together has made federalism a successful in our country. Let us look at some of these major ways in which this happened. Linguistic states. Linguistic means based on language. The creation of linguistic states was the first and a major test for democratic politics in our country. If you look at the political map of India, when it began its journey as a democracy in 1947, when India got independence, and that of today, you will be surprised by the extent of changes. Many old states have vanished, ab nahi hai wo states, and many new states have been created. Areas, boundaries and names of the states have been changed. Example, Madras, now Chennai, Bombay, now Mumbai, and lot many others. In 1947, the boundaries of several old states of India were changed in order to create new states. When India got independent, the map of India was different, even if you talk about the interior part. This was done to ensure that people who spoke the same language lived in the same state. For example, Punjab, Punjabi, Tamil Nadu, Tamil, Maharashtra, Marathi. Some states were created not on the basis of language, but to recognize differences based on culture, ethnicity, or geography. These include states like Nagaland, Uttarakhand, and Jharkhand. When the demand for the formation of states on the basis of language was raised, जब ये बात उठाई गई कि हमें हमारे लैंग्वेज पे बेस्ड करके स्टेट्स की डिवीजन की जाए, some national leaders, political leaders, feared that it would lead to disintegration of the country. There was a feeling that if the states would be divided according to the languages or culture of that area, तो कहीं ना कहीं यहाँ पे disintegrity हो जाएगी. The central government resisted linguistic states for some time. कुछ time तक central government ने इसकी approval नहीं दी. Like the states were not created according to the languages spoken or the culture of that state. But the experience has shown that the formation of linguistic states has actually made the country more united. It has also made administration easier. Now, language policy. A second test for Indian Federation is the language policy. Our constitution did not give the status of national language to any one language. Students, we don't have a national language in our country. No doubt, Hindi was identified as official language But Hindi is a mother tongue of only about 40% of Indians. हिंदी को ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेज डिक्लेयर किया गया था, but only 40% of the total population speaks Hindi. Therefore, there were many safeguards to protect other languages. Besides Hindi, there are 21 other languages recognized as scheduled languages by the Constitution. A candidate in an examination conducted for the central government position may opt to take the examination in any of these languages. For example, if you appear for the board exams, you get the question paper where the questions are written both in Hindi and English. States too have their own official languages. पंजाब में पंजाबी है, महाराष्ट्र में मराठी है, मणिपुर में मणिपुरी है. Much of the government work takes place in the official language of the concerned state. जिस स्टेट में कोई भी ऑफिशियल काम हो रहा है, बहुत सारा काम, मैक्सिमम काम उनके लैंग्वेज के हिसाब से होता है. Unlike Sri Lanka, the leaders of our country adopted a very cautious attitude in spreading the use of Hindi. Unlike Sri Lanka, पावर शेयरिंग में we have already gone through कि श्रीलंका की गवर्नमेंट की क्या पॉलिसीज थी. उन्होंने सिन्हाला को ज़्यादा प्रेफरेंस दिया था. बट अनलाइक दैट in our country, no doubt Hindi was declared to be the official language, but it has been used very, very carefully. According to the Constitution, the use of English for official purposes was to stop in 1965. 1965 में English को as official language stop कर दिया गया था. However, many non-Hindi speaking states demanded that the use of English continue. But इंडिया में भी बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टेट्स हैं जहाँ पे ज़्यादा इंग्लिश बोली जाती है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन तमिलनाडु दिस मूवमेंट टुक अ वायलेंट फॉर्म. तमिलनाडु में ज़्यादा इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग पीपल है. The central government responded by agreeing to continue the use of English along with Hindi for official purposes. When the government found that there is violence just because of declaring English to be non-official language, तो गवर्नमेंट ने जस्ट टू मेंटेन पीस तो इंग्लिश को भी इंक्लूडिंग इंग्लिश, हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश बोथ वर मेड टू बी द ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेजेस. Many critics think that the solution favored the English speaking elite. Elite यानी कि rich people, बड़े लोग. Promotion of Hindi continues to be the official policy of the government, no doubt, in India. Provision doesn't mean that the central government can impose Hindi on states where people speak a different language. Promotion करना is a separate thing. It doesn't mean कि government is forcing Hindi upon the people who cannot speak Hindi. The flexibility shown by Indian political leaders helped our countries avoid the kind of situation that Sri Lanka finds itself in. Now, center-state relation. Restructuring the center-state relations is one more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice. A good relation between the center and state. How the constitutional arrangements for sharing power work in reality depends to a large extent on how the ruling parties and leaders follows this arrangement. किसी भी कंट्री में उनकी पॉलिसीज़ अच्छे से वर्कआउट कर रही है कि नहीं कर रही है, दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, द रूलिंग पार्टीज एंड द लीडर्स फॉलो दीज अरेंजमेंट्स. फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम द सेम पार्टी रूल्ड both at the center and in most of the states. Congress, for example. This meant that the state governments did not exercise their rights as autonomous federal units. As and when the ruling party at the state level was different. Abhi bhi you can see in our country, different states have different government as compared to the central government. अगर central में BJP है तो बहुत सारे ऐसे states हैं जहाँ पे कांग्रेस है या कोई और उनकी regional party है. As and when the ruling party at the state level was different, the parties that ruled at the center tried to undermine the power of the states. In those days, the central government would often misuse the constitution to dismiss the state governments that were controlled by the rival parties. This undermined the spirit of federalism. और कई बार ऐसा होता था कि when the state is having different political party and the central is having different political parties, तो दोनों में clashes, और at times it takes a different figure, it takes a different phase. All this changed significantly after 1919. ये सारी confusion जो है 1990 के बाद change हुई. This period saw the rise of regional political parties in many states of the country. This was also the beginning of the era of coalition government. Coalition government क्या होती है? When any one political party fails to create majority, then two or more different political parties come together to form a coalition government at the center. Since no single party got a clear majority in the Lok Sabha, the major national parties had to enter into an alliance with many parties, including several regional parties, to form a government at the center. This happened first in 1990. This led to a new culture of power sharing and respect for the autonomy of state governments. This trend was supported by a major judgment of the Supreme Court that made it difficult for the central government to dismiss state governments in an arbitrary manner. और जब coalition government बननी शुरू हुई 1990 में first time जब ये बना, तो इसके बाद it was realized by the central government कि they cannot take steps all because of their thinking and all. अब तो दूसरी parties का भी ध्यान साथ में रखना पड़ेगा. Thus, federal power sharing is more effective today than it was in the early years after the constitution came into force. So, आज की डेट पे federalism is more effective as compared to when the constitution was made. Just look at the details. Linguistic diversity of India given on this page. See the language, proportion of speaker. Just go through it and see the diversity of India, linguistic diversity of India. Then read the following excerpts from an article by noted historian Ramachandra Guha that appeared in the Times of India on November 1. Take the example of your own state or any other state that was affected by linguistic reorganization. Next topic is decentralization in India. See, federalism means division of power. Power sharing is sharing of power. How the power is shared, that means divided, it is called federalism. Now comes decentralization in India. We noted above that federal governments have 2 or more tiers of government. We have so far discussed the 2 tiers of government in our country. But a vast country like India cannot be run only through these 2 tiers. States in India are as large as independent countries of Europe. In terms of population, you just take example. In terms of population, Uttar Pradesh is bigger than Russia. Maharashtra is about as big as Germany. I'm just comparing the states of India with countries. Many of these states are internally very diverse. और ऐसा नहीं है कि उत्तर महाराष्ट्र में सिर्फ मराठी लोग रह रहे हैं. We have diverse religion people living out there. Maharashtra, you will find Punjabis, Sikh, Hindu, Muslims, everybody is living there, are living there. There is thus a need for power sharing within these states. So exactly, power sharing is required in between the states, within the states also. Federal power sharing in India needs another tier of government. It means another tier of government was required below that of the state government. State government के अंदर भी कुछ होना चाहिए. This is the rationale for decentralization of power. Thus resulted a third tier of government called the local government. इसलिए एक third part और बनाया गया, that is the local government. When power is taken away from central and state governments and given to local government, it is called decentralization. So what is decentralization? When some power is taken away from the central and the state government and given to the local government, it is called decentralization. The basic idea behind decentralization is that there are a large number of problems and issues which are best settled at the local level. People have better knowledge of problems in their localities. They also have better ideas on where to spend money and how to manage things more effectively. Besides, at the local level, it is possible for the people to directly participate in decision making. This helps to inculcate a habit of democratic participation. Local government is the best way to realize one important principle of democracy, namely local self-government. The need for decentralization was recognized in our Constitution. Decentralization was recognized in our Constitution. Since then, there have been several attempts to decentralize power to the level of villages and town. Villages में we have a panchayat and towns we have municipality. Panchayats in villages and municipalities in urban areas were set up in all the states. But these were directly under the control of state governments. Elections to these local governments were not held regularly. When the third tier was formed, local governments did not have any powers or resources of their own. Thus, there was very little decentralization in effective terms. So, decentralization proper way में तो नहीं हुई. A major step towards decentralization was taken in 1992. The Constitution was amended to make the third tier of government more powerful and effective. When it was realized that much of the power is still in the hands of the state government, so a major step was taken towards decentralization in 1992. Now it is constitutionally mandatory to hold regular elections to local government bodies. अब municipality के भी regular elections होते हैं. Seats are reserved in the elected bodies and executive heads of these institutions for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and other backward classes. Seats भी reserved है scheduled castes, tribes and backward classes के लिए. At least 1/3 of all positions are reserved for women. An independent institution called the State Election Commission has been created in such state to conduct panchayat and municipal elections. Like we have election commission for the whole country, we do have state election commission. हर state के लिए अपने state election commission है. The state governments are required to share some power and revenue with the local bodies. The nature of sharing varies from state to state. Rural local government is popularly known by the name of Panchayati Raj. Each village or a group of villages in some states has a Gram Panchayat. This is a council consisting of several ward members, often called Panch, and a president or Sarpanch. They are directly elected by all the adult population living in that ward or village. It is a decision-making body for the entire village. और पंचायत क्या है? पूरे village का जो भी decision लेना होता है, that is taken by the panchayat. The panchayat works under the overall supervision of the Gram Sabha. कुछ villages मिलके जो बनाते. All the voters in the villages are its members. It has to meet at least twice or thrice in a year to approve the annual budget of the Gram Panchayat and to review the performance of the Gram Panchayat. तो budget जो है annual budget जो है वो Gram Panchayat में भी बनता है. The local government structure goes right up to the district level. A few Gram Panchayat are grouped together to form what is usually called a Panchayat Samiti or block or mandal. The members of these representative bodies are elected by all the Panchayat members in that area. All the Panchayat Samitis or Mandals in a district together constitute the Jila or the District Parishad. Most members of the Jila Parishad are elected. Members of the Lok Sabha and MLAs of that district and some other officials of other district level bodies are also its member. Jila Parishad chairperson is a political head of all Jila Parishad. Chairperson is a political head of the Jila Parishad. Similarly, local government bodies exist for urban areas as well. Municipalities are set up in towns. You do have municipalities. Big cities are constituted into municipal corporation. Both municipalities and municipal corporation are controlled by elected bodies consisting of people's representatives. Municipal chairperson is the political head of the municipality. In a municipal corporation, such an officer is called the mayor. See, the working of the local government is same as the state government. This new system of local government is the largest experiment in democracy conducted anywhere in the world. There are now about 36 lakh elected representatives in the panchayats and municipalities, etc., all over the country. This number is bigger than population of many countries in the world. Constitutional status for the local government has helped to deepen the democracy in our country. Local government के बनने के बाद, when decentralization के बाद, जब local government बनाई गई, उसके बाद it was made possible for deepening the democracy. Democracy की जड़ों को मजबूत करने के लिए it proved to be an effective step. It has also increased women's representation and voice in our democracy. Now, the seats are reserved for women in the local government also. Seats are reserved for women in state as well as the central government. At the same time, there are many difficulties. While elections are held regularly and enthusiastically, Gram Sabhas are not held regularly. Most state governments have not transferred significant powers to the local governments, nor have they given adequate resources. We are thus still a long way from realizing the ideal of self-government. See, anything when a new rules and regulations are made, it's not successful all of a sudden. Though the decentralization is a very good step taken for deepening the democracy, still we are facing many problems, as many of the in many areas Gram Sabhas are not happening continuously, regularly. Gram Sabhas are not held regularly. State government is not transferring, giving adequate resources to the local governments and many more. So we are still a long way from realizing the ideal of local self-government. Thank you, students. I hope all the points are clear.